All right. All right. Today we're talking about constant roots, constant moving to permanent roots. Imagine growing up moving, constantly moving, then finally owning a place to call home. That's what today's story is all about. I'm joined by a powerful homeowner who bought her home in 2013, and her journey is so inspiring. My name is Fannie Mae West, and I am a mortgage and wealth strategist. It's all about living a life on purpose and defining your money goals and defining what you want out of life, and your money should speak to that. But we're talking about wealth building strategies and from constant moving to permanent to putting down some roots. The guest that I have here, her story is so dynamic, but more importantly, she is so close to my heart. It's nice when you can help people, but more importantly, help your family. So I'm gonna just put it out there. This is my big sis, Cindy Wilson, and I love her dearly, but her story is dynamic. And I say that because her story is my story, but she has a little bit of more edge to her story than I do because I'm the baby of the family. But we both grew up kind of like in that same environment where we did move a lot. So, Miss Cindy Wilson, can you tell me about your story of growing up and the constant moving? How did that have an effect on you?
It definitely had a traumatic effect on me, especially when you have kids involved and you always want a sense of stability. So my dream of home ownership was a priority because I want a sense of stability for my kids. I didn't want my kids to keep moving from this place to this place to that place to this place. I wanted them to have a sense of stability and grow up in one place. And that being said, we live down in what we call public housing, and we lived in public housing for 13 years. And I said this is not where I want my kids to grow up at. So um, I did um, start working really hard to get my credit together, save some money so I can buy a house so my kids can have a sense of stability. So that being said, um, during my hunting journey, it was very challenging because I needed the room because at the time I had 5 kids and I needed the room and so looking for a house it became frustrating at times, but I had some good people working with me. Fannie Mae, my sister, of course, her partner at the time, Mary Murphy. You know, Fannie traveled because I lived down here in Cleveland, but she came and her and Mary would travel and we would set up showings and go look for houses. We would try to knock at least 4 or 5 houses out in a day and there were some good ones and not so good ones. Some ones, they wanted too much money for. So you have to look for a house that's affordable, that you can be able to maintain and have work within your means and your budget. You don't never want to buy a house where it's above your budget and then you can't afford to pay for it and it's being foreclosed on. So, I mean, seriously, though.
Real talk, real talk. That's what we do. Real talk.
Yes, I'm just keeping it real. And my mother always told me whatever I do, and when especially in life period, even though you might have a partner, a husband or a significant other, just be able to do it on your own just in case that person walked away tomorrow. And I always kept that in the back of my mind. So when I was looking at houses, I made sure that, I could afford it and, afford to keep this house and pay for it and still have room for whatever. So, but looking at this house, looking at houses, I came across this one house. Um, in Euclid, and I just really believe this is the house. We prayed. We some praying people over here. Every we are some praying people over here. God has His hand in everything. So this house that I happened to we had looked at like four houses this one day, but this house that we came across, I think it was one of the last houses right that we was looking at. Fanny, was it?
Mhm. Mhm. Yes.
One of the last houses we was looking at, and
Mhm.
it was just so ironic. It was just so ironic. This house is, the houses have lockbox keys on them, and it has numbers. Sometimes it can be a combination of letters, or it could be a combination of actual numbers. But this particular house that I currently reside in, it had letters, and the letters to open up the lockbox to get the key to look at this house is the letters was CMW.
Mm. What is CMW?
CMW is Cindy Marie Wilson.
Yes.
So I knew, that being said, I knew this is the house that God had for me. I really did. My name was all over this house. And I walked through it, it had all the room. It's a nice house. And it's by the lake, it's by the water. And they have a beach club. You know how you go from the project to the beach club?
Mhm.
Only
Level up.
God. Only
Level up.
God.
Mhm.
Only God. You go from the projects to the beach club.
Okay.
None but God. None but God. So we were looking at the house. Oh, I fell in love with the house, the room, the potential, um, that I could do to it in reference to it. Just need a little bit of updating, but um, looking at the numbers, we went back to the hotel and Fanny was running the numbers and I got afraid. I was like, ooh, the numbers. It was, I think it was going for like 70,000.
Mhm.
And I said, ooh, I don't know, that was in my budget. And I heard God said that be not afraid.
Mm.
He said, and that's the first time I heard God's voice when I was buying
Mm.
this house. He said, be not afraid.
Mm.
And when he said that, I was like, okay, okay, okay.
Mm.
Go ahead, put in an offer. But
Mhm.
it was some challenges with the
Mhm.
offer, right, Fanny?
Oh
It was,
my goodness. Yep.
yes, it was some challenges when we put in the offer. You had those type of people. You only wanted to sell to a certain people, and I wasn't one of the ones he wanted to sell it to. But God had the final say.
Amen.
God had the final say. So,
Well, it's a couple things that I gotta unpack out of what you just stated because it was
okay.
just like it was so powerful. So when we talk about coming from the projects to a beach house, like just think about that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then like she bought her house 12 years ago. And the market has shifted tremendously. So I didn't want to throw out no numbers, but since she did, she bought that house for 70,000. It's like triple to double what it is in 12 years than what she bought it for, right?
Right.
That was one thing, right? So when we talk about generational wealth, when we talk about affordability at that time, right? It's like knowing what you want, and to be honest, like as me as a professional, it's like I love all my clients, but you have to give that extra care. You got to get that extra care to those family members because if you don't, you know what I mean, you got to see them all the time, right? You
Right.
got to make
Right.
sure you do your due diligence and do what you need to do
You don't
for
want to
them.
be fan. You don't be sitting at family dinner looking sideways at you like,
I know, right?
you
Like, I'm mad at you.
know?
You know what
Right.
I mean? But that's the beautiful thing of it. And like, really, guys, I live this, right? I preach this all over in regards to family stability, housing stability, and building generational wealth. And it's just so powerful when you are able to own your home, right? And then take the steps. But more importantly, like what she said is like knowing kind of like what you want, decide what your budget is, but then also too working with the right team
Mm-hmm.
to help you get to where you want to go and what you need. And then when we talk about Like, don't let anything stop you because we did. Like, she got a gym, but it's about like defining what your goals are and don't let anything stop you.
Stop you or deter you, distract you or anything. You're absolutely right.
And
Hmm.
that's what is kinda, like, really powerful. Like, I mean, my sister has just a dynamic story, and I knew that this story would inspire people just from where we came from into
Mhm.
where we are, now in life. Your beginning does not have to determine your end. It's about
Exactly.
sticking to it, staying, whatever you believe in, but we believe in Jesus. But
Yes.
whatever you believe in, like sticking to that and having the faith to know that what he said is going to come to pass.
Pass that. Exactly. And
You
trust in the
still
process.
yep, you got to
Hmm.
trust the process and you got to
Hmm.
work with the right team. I can't
Exactly.
say I can't say that enough. Because you want to work with people that have your best interests in mind, not theirs, and not just their
Exactly.
pocket. That's
Exactly.
that's huge.
Oh
Um
yeah, for sure.
So now you're sitting on a gold mine, and then so over time your home value has gone up. I know she don't look like it, y'all, but
Hmm.
she's in the retirement stage. She's not retired yet, but she has a few years to retire.
Hmm.
We kind of did some mortgage strategies and kind of like restructured the house along the way
Hmm.
to get it paid off sooner, so to be paid off right around the time where she's retiring, but also too being able to use I mean, this story is just like what I talk about all the time,
Hmm.
like generational wealth, being able to tap into that home equity to
Hmm.
get to do the things that she desires to do, right?
Hmm.
And still continuously to build wealth. So like I don't even know. It's just so like you're just it. You're like that what I talk about. Like,
And, and,
you know what I mean? This
and
is the gym, y'all. Like I live this. I preach
hmm.
this. It's like
Hmm.
ooze out of me. What I
Hmm.
tell you is true. And
Yes, for sure.
everybody around me, it's all about leveling up. It's
Hmm.
all about putting go ahead.
And you know what? I would have to say this. Listen to one of your other live feeds with another person that you had. I forget the person that you had, but I did hear that we was talking about my ultimate goal was to pay the house off, but I heard you say it's not feasible to pay don't pay the house off because you lose the equity you have in the house. So not totally pay it off, but um still have it where you can pay it down, but you still be able to pull the equity out of it. Because I think my house is now it's like worth 185,000. So if I pay it off, I won't have access to that. Correct.
Well, you'll still if you pay it off and we don't do another strategy to have you pull that money down and do some different things with it, then
Mm-hmm.
it's just sitting there. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's just like it's like you looking at $100,000 and it's just
Okay.
sitting there and you like, ooh, that's nice. You can't do nothing with it. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
sitting there, right?
Yeah.
And so depending on what your goals are, what you're trying to do in life and the
Mm-hmm.
different things, how you're structured is you want to put in a plan in place because that 100,000 you can kind of, have that work for you
Yeah.
in the different kind of ways and depending on what your situation is. So it's like building, it's like compound it's kind of like multiple wealth strategies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Compound wealth using that money that you have and making it work for you as opposed to saying, "Ooh, I see that. That's so
Mm-hmm.
nice.
So
It's so
it's
nice." So
yeah.
then you decide. So we're talking about that. What do you think? What do you think you're going to keep the house? You want to sell it? You want to move? You want to retire? Like it's just a little different strategies.
Mm-hmm.
So coming from the humble's beginning that you have and now
Mm-hmm.
having a little pocket of wealth, what would you think you would want to do with that? Would
I
you want to leave it
definitely,
in the family? Go ahead.
yeah, definitely, it is a legacy now. So I definitely want to
Ooh, I
live it
like
in the
that.
family.
You hear that
Yes.
word legacy, y'all? Legacy.
It's definitely a legacy. So I definitely wouldn't want to get rid of it. No, I would want to keep it and keep it in the family. And I put I put a lot of heart and soul in the renovations in this house. So if I was to get this house a price, today, it would definitely be more worth more than what the initial appraisal was, or even when I pulled the equity out of it because I just renovated that bathroom. So the bathroom and that bedroom. So
Mhm.
that definitely added more, equity to the house.
So
So I
that's just
definitely.
another wealth strategy,
Mm-hmm.
that she's taking advantage of to while you're living in the home, make it to what you want, but also to doing those strategic renovations to increase
Increase the value.
the value. Yes, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just,
Mm-hmm.
putting more money into your pocket. Like I'm telling you, this is what it's about. And it's go ahead. I know you want to say something. Go
And
ahead.
it's like I my kids, they're gonna come on board, but it's like owning a home. It's so many benefits to home ownership. And I
I didn't
mean,
tell her to say that, y'all, because she my sister. I'm just
no,
saying.
seriously though, I'm telling you,
We
I
drink our
know,
own Kool-Aid. I'm just
right?
saying.
I know, I know my sister is a big advocate, but I am an advocate too because it's like the amount of money that I see my children that's paying in rent. I don't even pay that much in my mortgage, and it's like it's nothing like having your own. Have your own, pay your, you know what I'm saying? It's just like it's so much value to that.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's so much value to that. Benefits and value, it's definitely stability. It is something you can call your own.
Yes, the
Ain't
bill.
nothing, there's nothing like having your own.
Mhm.
Yes.
I love it. Like that's kind. I don't like just the stability, the wealth building. And like she said,
Mm-hmm.
it's so many benefits. We can put so many strategies on it, depending on your level of risk level, what your goals are, and everything of that nature. It's just, I tell people it's more than one way to build wealth. You
Mm-hmm.
can do it in so many different ways. But the last person I had on last week, I like what she said. She was like, that mailbox money. I like that mailbox money. You know what I mean? But, you want to as opposed to you sending that mailbox money, it's like, in essence, by you paying down your mortgage and then the appreciation of the market, you're sending yourself money. And I call like home ownership a forced savings account because at some point, you paying into it, you'll be able to get it out, look at it as an asset
Mm-hmm.
and as opposed to you know just throwing money down the drain. Another thing that my sister didn't even know it, but when you're working with the right people and they have your back, the area in which she bought in was just dynamic at the time. you know um just like she said, beachfront and beach in the area and everything of that nature. Where we came from, that's just like, ooh, we leveling up at this point.
I
You know what
did
I
level
mean?
up.
Um, right. But the thing is that buying strategically, buying
Mm-hmm.
right, you know what I mean, and looking at the different
Mm-hmm.
neighborhoods. So even if you wasn't able to get like a foreclosure or something like that, or something under market, when you look at the area that you're buying in, be strategic about that as well. That's another
Yes,
wealth
for sure.
strategy. So you think about the
Mm-hmm.
appreciation. So even when we're in a market where some areas were a little bit higher than the other area, but they were appreciating so fast, just because you might have paid a little bit over, you have to look at the appreciation and the history, and it could still be a good wealth and
And
money
that and,
move.
and this house definitely
Um,
was because at the time I think that the house sold for 70,000, but the houses around me they were going for 150 and up.
oh yeah, she just got it. I'm just telling you, that's what we do around these parts.
Yes,
I'm just
yes,
saying. But it's just beautiful. Just to be a witness to the story, and the growth and the determination. But of course, we got good
yes.
roots. We got that good mama that, regardless of whatever the circumstances are, we've persevered and we kept moving
Mhm,
forward. And that's another reason why I do these lives, to
mhm,
inspire you. And I tell everybody that I talk to, like, whether you have bad credit, no money, or life
mhm.
happens. But like we always say, life
Yes.
be lifing. But that's a short period of
Mhm,
your time. Don't let your your past or your hardships define
Hmm.
who you are and where you're
Yeah, because it's
supposed to
only a
go. You
season.
know what I mean?
It's only a
There you
season.
go. It's
Yep.
only a season. So it's time, like, you recognize it and then you
Hmm.
move forward. That's what it's all about. What you're going to do with those
Hmm.
hardships and challenges
Hmm.
that you have. Are you going to rise to the occasion, or are you just going to, just going to fall back and then just let them take over? Do you have any This was one of our inspiring moments. Like, I'm about to tear up because, like, I just love this dynamic
Hmm.
woman, coming from where we did, raising 5 kids, and then, keep moving forward, and then to just show, the family, to how perseverance keeps you, you know what I mean? How having a strong faith
Hmm.
foundation and the love for your family. I always say that one person can just change a
Hmm.
generation by just one
Hmm.
decision. So, do you have any parting words for us at all that you would like to share and motivate a
Yes.
homeowner that maybe in your same situation,
Hmm.
moving and like, man, what I'm gonna do next?
I will say this: anything worth having is worth fighting for, working for. Trust the process. Don't get discouraged. Get good people like my sister Fannie Mae, Fannie Mae West, Optus Inc. I'm telling you, she's a goat. She's a goat. When other
Thank you.
people say no, she will get a yes. She will get a yes. So, like I say, trust the process, trust God, um, trust Fanny. She worked for you and with you.
I didn't
No,
tell her
she
to say
didn't.
that.
I mean, seriously though, she will work for you and with you to make you to help you become a homeowner. Yes.
That's always
Mhm.
the goal. It's about building
Mhm.
generational wealth. I got to say my slogan: mortgage is the vehicle, but wealth is the destination.